What are you doing?
Evening the odds.
If the real Batman doesn't wear hockey pads, what does that mean for a padded out Batman game? If the real Batman doesn't kill, what does that mean for a Batman game that forces him into a literal tank, often to kill 30 other unmanned tanks at a time? Arkham Knight is written around the problem of blending Batman with an open world. Gotham is emptied of 6.3 million civilians, only thugs, villains, and cops remain. The Batmobile electrocutes anyone it hits at breakneck speeds away from the car. They don't die, nor do drivers in the vehicle's Batman T-bones.
Hold him steady, fellas. I've been working on my swing. Watch and learn. Gonna knock his head right out of the...
The game looks and runs great on PlayStation 4, but its tone is unstable. Everything in the story feels dire, but the game lets you busy yourself with over 240 riddles.
Forget Scarecrow. It's time to face your one true nemesis, Batman.
Oh dear, is that who I think it is?
There is so much content beside the main story path, but most of it is busy work. I've still not rescued all 20 captive firefighters spread throughout the city. Most of the missions are just about getting to the relevant supervillain at the end and notching the completion percentage. This brings us to the Batmobile. The Batmobile is theoretically cool. Calling it to pick Batman up, ejecting from it at high speeds, doing takedowns, this all works well. But there are long, mandated Batmobile segments, like the aforementioned waves of tank fights, and even hilarious tank stealth sequences against bigger, stronger tanks. Everything is strung together with the best of intentions, but the shorter side missions that pop up woven into the narrative are much more fulfilling than saving 20 different firemen, stopping Two-Face's goons from robbing several banks, or destroying 5 or so of Penguin's weapon stashes, though the latter teams bats with Nightwing, and the dual fighter segments are fun.
This is you handling it, right?
Thankfully, I hardly looked at the map screen this time around because there's a D-pad button just to bring up a mission select wheel, so it's easy to ping-pong between waypoints like an errand boy. I also hardly looked at the upgrades, usually going several hours at a time before dumping 50 points into skills I mostly didn't use. There's also more stealth options, including fear takedowns that can be used to instantly incapacitate up to 8 enemies at a time. I can string together perfect, room-clearing 60-time combo fisticuffs with the best of them, but combat never drags in Arkham Knight, which I appreciate because my favorite thing to do is explore the city. Scarecrow, to Rocksteady's credit, plays a great villain here, though he does so from the shadows. Because Batman is Batman, it's hard to feel the stakes sometimes, but Scarecrow is good for manipulating bats and leaving him one step behind, more and more panicked and fragmented. The Arkham Knight, meanwhile, mostly tries to kill you with very large vehicles. The whole tenor of the character feels at odds with his Scarecrow partnership. There's some cool, occasionally chilling stuff going on, but it's mostly wrapped up by the end of the game. Aside from a musical-themed boss fight, Arkham Knight struggles to surprise and delight as much as Asylum or City. If the Batmobile was Rocksteady's gambit in that regard, it failed. It makes for a better occasional use gadget than core gameplay system.
Well done, Dark Knight. You should, I hope, be beginning to comprehend the breadth of the tasks ahead of you, the sheer scale of the gauntlet I have thrown down.
The Riddler side mission sums up Arkham Knight's issues fairly well. For no reason, he becomes a racing aficionado and creates massive tracks beneath the city to go with his death traps. This crams more Batmobile segments in. He does his same tired shtick for a 4th game, this time holding Catwoman captive, but he's also made both racetracks and robots to fight just to add more. At one point, he taunts that even a chimp can follow basic instructions. Sometimes that feels like Arkham Knight. More of the same isn't all bad, too much more of the same is, especially at the cost of upsetting the balance between old and new. Riddler's story can't be resolved, nor can you get the full ending, until you do the 240 or so Riddler challenges. You can, though, at least take it far enough to free Catwoman. Arkham Knight is a solid, if uneven, send-off for Rocksteady's trilogy. Combat and stealth are still satisfying. The narrative mixes unsurprising but well-done segments with unsurprising and uninteresting elements. It makes me worried about what would happen with Batman in a new developer's less comfortable hands, and excited for what Rocksteady might do itself free of the Batman myth.